Hi backers, here's another update for you. Wanted to let you know where we're up to. Let's get the slightly rough stuff out of the way first, and then we can go on with all the positives that I can show you in firmware. Obviously with our last update I had wanted to be starting to ship units by now. Unfortunately that hasn't been the case. We were expecting to have plastics by now. What we did receive is the first articles from our mould, and what that means is when they finish making the mould, they run off some test copies, make sure there's no problems with the stuff, and they sent us the first few. So I've been able to make the latest KordBot using those. However, we found a couple of just small issues really with the way the plastics fit together. Now previously in all our 3D printed prototypes, the tolerances in the 3D printed versions are a bit more forgiving than the actual ones that come out of the plastic injection mould. So I've had to back and forth a little bit with China on just sort of refining the way the case fits together. We've gone through a few emails and drawings in exchange, and I'm now waiting for a DHL delivery for the new case. Hopefully that's all going to be perfect, and then it's go. From then it's about 20 days they say before they'll all be ready. As you can also see in this one, we've now got our final keypad and it works really nicely. The keypad that's in this unit was also a first article, and thankfully there are absolutely no issues with that whatsoever. That came out fine first time, and the keypads are actually being manufactured as we speak. This one you can see doesn't have the final screen print on it with the chord types and stuff printed on it, and this one doesn't have that. This was just for a final fit test and everything was great with that. I'll show you around the back because some of you have asked questions that you've never really seen the back of the device. So this is what we have ended up with. We've got DC power in, which is 9 to 12 volts, USB, which is used for upgrading the firmware, for powering the device if you're not using a DC input jack, and it's also MIDI over USB, which is driverless as well. So it's on a new operating system on a Mac or a Windows, you're not going to have any problem. You'll just plug that straight in and your MIDI controller works, no device drivers needed. For your classic gear, you've got your standard MIDI in and out ports, and we've got a pedal input, which is an expression pedal, which is basically a potentiometer. So that can be mapped to volume or expression or modulation or anything you like. Anything that you can assign a MIDI controller to, you can assign to that port. And the next port is just a foot switch port, so that's literally just an on-off switch for things like sustain and stuff like that. In a previous update video you saw that we'd been building all the capacitive sense boards, and I'm really pleased to be able to say that that works really well. We're really happy with it. Just as part of the test code, you'll see when I run my finger across the strip it scans across the lights, and this is used for strumming and again can also be assigned to MIDI controllers. And it's also multi-touch, so if I'm hitting some notes there, I can also hit notes there at the same time or anywhere else I want. So, you can do your finger strumming patterns, or if you're using it to control chords, you can sort of pick out the notes of chords. You can get some really interesting little riffs and stuff coming out of this. Really pleased with the way that's come out. And in fact, all of the CapSense boards are already made. We finished the CapSense boards last week, and they came out a lot faster than I thought they did. So I'm pleased that that's one big job out of the way. And we've already started making the main boards. We've got quite a few of those made at the moment. There were a couple of components on that main board that originally we were hand placing. One of the most important parts there being quite an odd shaped component, which is what connects the LCD to the circuit board. And that's got very fine pitch on it. And we were originally placing that component by hand before the board goes in the oven. And we managed to get an upgrade done on our pick and place machine. The machine can now pick that part and place that for us. So that's really going to ramp up the speed at which we can knock the boards out. I don't think there's too much to say about the physical unit. As I said, within the next few days I should have the hopefully final first article of the plastic enclosure back with me. You probably notice this one's all black, and the actual surface finish, I'm not sure if you were able to see on that, is smooth, but it's not the final finish. So the top of the KordBot enclosure will be what's called an A2 finish, which is quite a shiny plastic, or almost like a mirror-like finish. And the underneath will be a textured finish, which is just gives it more, it's a scratch resistant sort of finish. Makes the bottom of the case a bit more durable, so it's not getting scuffed up on your desk. There's been a few problems, you know, getting the firmware coded. We've had a few hurdles. One of the biggest that took us quite a while to get over was the actual latency of the keyboard, of the response of the keys to the, you know, to your hearing notes. And I'm very pleased to say that after a couple of weeks hang up on that, Bill's done an amazing job and got us through that, and it's really super fast and responsive now. So I'm going to demonstrate to you the diatonic mode, which we've now got in place. We've also got suggestion mode within diatonic mode, which, as you might remember from the original campaign, what did we call them? A stretch goal that will light up keys to sort of suggest a chord that you might want to play next that might go well with the chord that you just played previously. So yeah, plastics, within the next sort of week or two, I will have definitely said yes, start making them. And then, as I said, it's about 20 days they say that they'll be completed. So other than that, we're good to go, and I really hope to be building, you know, putting the actual final KordBots together really soon. Sorry for the delays. At this stage, there really isn't much I can do about it other than say to you, you know, I'm going as fast as, well, we're both going as fast as we can to make sure that it gets to you and you get the product that we wanted you to get without cutting corners. Again, we can't really send the KordBots, so even if I did get the plastics right now and start building them, there are certain aspects of the firmware that we really need to just get them polished up and working, you know, how we want them to work before we start sending them out. Because we don't want you guys, you know, oh, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. So we really want to get those working. However, I did say in previous updates, the sequencer, which we will be starting work on very soon, may not be in the initial release that we send out to you guys. It's coming, I promise. But I think you guys would rather have the KordBot there that you can sort of use for what it originally did, which we started the campaign with, and release it without that stretch goal, but it will be coming in a future firmware update. You may have seen that I posted a picture of the firmware update software that's working well for the PC. The Mac version is getting done. So I'm going to leave it there and just say to you, you know, as soon as we can get this out to you, it's coming, and enjoy the demo of the software coming. Thank you. So I may have already shown you this in an earlier update video, but we greatly simplified the method in which chords are stored now. So obviously, you know, you can already play chords. Whatever the last chord that you played is, let's say I played that, for instance, you just press an F key and then press the memory pad, and that's stored there. Velocity sensitive now. So play the chords that you want, store each one by one to the chord pads. The arpeggio you've already seen, I've done several videos on that before. However, we have now included umpteen patterns into the arpeggiator. I'll cycle through a couple of them really quick. You've really seen long demos of the arpeggiator before, so I'm not going to dwell on that too much. Turn latch on. Now obviously the arpeggiator will follow the chords, follow whatever chords you've stored in the pads. And it's velocity sensitive as well. You press this encoder and you'll hear the way the patterns, all the patterns will change. Chord spread. Now what we've also got on the arpeggiator is an arpeggiator even mode. If you're trying to play arpeggios to like a lot of 4-to-the-floor dance music and you're playing chords that have got extra notes in them, your arpeggiator phrase will go out oftentimes with the music that you're playing to the beat. So we included an arpeggiator even mode, which is what we're calling it at the moment. And what that will do is it makes sure it loops at the right point so you don't start going out of phrase with your music. So I'd also like to talk about the strum plate. At the moment it's currently just tied to diatonic mode, which I'll go into a little bit more after this short demonstration. But basically any chord that you can play will map across the touch strip So let's go for C major. And with it being multi-touch, you can almost, you know, pick it like it was a guitar or whatever you like. Now at the moment that's just going strumming up and down the chord. And we will also assign different modes to that, so it will mimic something more like a 6-string instrument, like a guitar or other such stuff. Something else that's really cool about that is that you can tie all of the arpeggio patterns, which there are a whole ton of in here, and you can assign those to the touch strip as well. So it will change the order in which it plays notes in a chord. So now, instead of just going up and down, see all different patterns when you swipe. I realise that I'm playing a bit of a lame kiddies music box sound there. It's just easy to hear. Okay, so this is going to be a short demonstration of what we call diatonic mode. Now, in this mode, you've just got a standard keyboard on this end, and all your chord modifier keys become preset scales. You can change those scales, which I'll show you in a minute, to be whatever you want to be. Currently, I've got this sort of set up to give you a sort of a circle of fifths thing. So our first scale row is set to C major, the second is set to G major, third is set to D major, and fourth A major. So it makes it very easy to noodle around in this mode and find nice sort of chord progressions. Really, really simple to just come up with ideas really quickly. And again, the same as in this mode, you can just get the last chord that you just played and assign it to a pad. Again, all the chord spread and everything also works in this mode. And what we've also got in diatonic mode is progression suggestion. So we'll turn this on, and then what happens is when you play the first chord, it's going to light up chords that will diatonically go with the chord that you just played. So we played that. Now we'll go here, and now it's only suggesting a few more chords back to normal. And you can go in different directions, so. Now, I should say, we've got two keys here, which will obviously be printed. We've got Shift and Alt. Now, to keep menu diving to a minimum on the device, that's why we've given these Shift and Alt keys. When you notice, when I press Shift, the options highlight on the screen as to what options you're controlling by changing that key. So if we use the Shift key, we can see that lets us assign what the switches of the encoders do. And I can go in there, and we've got a list wheel, so that is now changing the assignment of what the push button of this encoder does. Got yes or no here, so I'm hitting no to exit that. We've also got Alt, which you can now see is lighting up the encoder graphics. So then we press an encoder, and then that gives us a different list wheel again, so that we can change the assignment of what the rotary control does. So that might be a MIDI CC or anything that you want to set it to, basically. But going back into diatonic mode, to change what we're doing with a row, we'll hold the Alt key, Shift key, sorry, and click the end button of that row. And now we're into the diatonic bank setup. Now, you can either just use sort of really easy mode, which is selecting what scale mode you want these keys to be in. So we've got, you know, major, minor, Aeolian, melodic minor, all the different scales that you can think of, really. Egyptian and Scottish, Hungarian, loads of different scale modes. You've also got then a load of user banks. And when you're in a user bank, we select a user bank, then all these encoder selections with a load of extra list wheels come up. And so you can probably see here we've got seven different slots, and that is for the 7 different keys here. So then each one of these encoders makes a selection for each button. So for instance, you could have a minor 7 flat 5 on the first button, an augmented on the second, sus on the third, and so on and so on, and create your own scale mode. All you then have to do is press a musical key for what you want the bass note of that scale to be. So let's say we want it to be C, so that will now be set, the scale mode will be set to C as the bass note. So that's it for the update so far. I hope you enjoyed looking at the new features that are in there. And as I said, as soon as possible, this is going to be in your hands to play with. So thanks for your patience and thanks for watching. Bye bye.